Well, guys, I'm really excited to have with me in studio today Mike Mohler with Redemption Solar and Roofing. It's funny. I just met Mike a couple weeks ago. Actually, he and his crew were in here at our co-working space, taking some new photos. I guess for your website. What were you guys?
Yes, sir. We're putting together a couple of videos to just hang on there, professionally done. And
Okay.
Ben Gilmore did those. He did a great job. I haven't seen them yet, but I've seen his products are generally pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited
cool.
about it.
Well, it's funny. Just met Mike, but I've seen your brand. I've seen your trucks. I've seen your crews. I know people on your staff, but
Amen to that. That's right.
have never met you. And certainly in business, just the overall culture of the business. I mean, it appears to be very, very healthy. Just given the people that I know that work for you, the quality character that they present, and they always have just spoke very highly of you as a leader. So grateful that you're here. So
I'm glad to be here, Jason. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah. This is really a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, if you don't mind, let's rewind. Tell me a little bit about Mike. I want to get to know you better. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and kind of where you're from and how you got started in business and what kind of led you there. So.
Yeah, amen. Those are good questions. It's been quite a journey to get here. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of ups and downs and some twists and turns. And I actually started. I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, but I started in all places. In Tucson, Arizona. I served 22 years in the Marine Corps. Got bounced all around the country. A couple of tours in Iraq, garden spot known as Fallujah. A whole bunch of folks out there that don't like you, but it was. I wouldn't change it for anything. One of the jobs that I had actually in the Marine Corps, I didn't realize it at the time, ended up being the most valuable to me, was I did a tour of duty on recruiting.
Okay.
And it was really kind of neat because I ended up working for a Major Blair was his name, good man. And he said, no one's going to serve as my OPSO until they've actually been out there on the street and actually recruited somebody, actually sold something and get somebody to join the Marine Corps. So he sent me out and he put me under a Gunnery Sergeant Pittenger. Remember him to this day, great guy. And I went out and I sold. I ended up going to high schools, talking to kids. I ended up going to malls, making some phone calls until I finally got someone to enlist. And once I'd been through the process, he said, all right, you can come on up and manage the effort. And you can now, see it from the management side. But then learning all the people skills and all the sales skills in that one position of my entire 22 years in the Marine Corps, that one was the most beneficial for setting me up for success. Yeah, everything else in the Marine Corps, I'd spent a lot of time in leadership. I did a lot of stuff, but that one really opened my eyes to a lot of different things. Well, I came back to that years later. I retired from the Marine Corps here in Louisville in 2013. They actually tell you when you retire. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. With my resume, I probably could go lots of places, make a lot of money, or you can pick your place and roll the dice and see what happens. Well, I prayed about it a lot, and we had a really good church and a lot of people that we met here because I was an armor officer, and I had served 4 tours at Fort Knox because we trained alongside the Army in that regard. And I just loved the area. I said, I'm coming to Louisville. Let's see what happens. And came out here. Didn't really have a plan. I just retired, and
you said that was 2013.
2013. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Marine Corps gave me a few months to get my feet on the ground, and they were gracious in that regard. And I had a friend of mine. He got me in. I was running with a trucking company for a while. There wasn't a whole lot of profit in that. Ended up, unfortunately, had to step away from that. And one of the guys I was working with, a friend of mine by the name of Bruce, said, "Well, have you thought about doing direct sales?" I said, well, sure, I can do sales. I did it back in the Marine Corps in recruiting. He said, well, how about selling roofs? I said, well, I don't know anything about roofs. He goes, yeah, but you know how to sell. I said, well, yeah, sure. So he took me out, had me knock a door on a house. I was 47 years old, mind you, as a retired lieutenant colonel, knocking doors and just talking to people. I'm like, I can totally do this. This is the core of what we do, is meeting people and serving their needs. And on day one, that's where we started. Now, he didn't spend long with me. I mostly trained myself from there. And I ended up working for another company for a few years. They very quickly promoted me to a sales manager. And I realized that as long as you're pouring into people, as long as you are willing to spend the time. And I had two clients, really. I had the people that I was serving on a daily basis, installing roofs. And then I had the people that I was serving that were in the company that were learning how to be salesmen and entrepreneurs and understand what it means to work in business. And I was pouring into them. And the Lord just blessed it, and they just flocked around. Now flocked to the banner, and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, that particular company, the leadership of it kind of went off the rails, and they started taking advantage of the clients and such. And I had to step away. And my wife and I spent a lot of prayer end of 2021, beginning of 2022. We were in a lot of prayer over this. It was a Christian company. They'd kind of surrendered Christ, and they started doing other things. And they weren't treating their people right. I'll go down that rabbit. This is almost funny. They took a personality test to kind of tell everybody in the job what they can do. And 3/4 of the leaders that I'd put in place that were very effective didn't match their personality profiles. So they removed them. I'm like, you can't remove those guys. I mean, that's not fair. And so I came alongside of them, and a lot of them walked away, and a few of them came with, and we started Redemption. And it started off as a lifeboat, is what it started off as, is these guys who were now the misfits of the industry. And our focus was, and here's how we did it, quite frankly. We mortgaged our house. We pulled all the equity out of it. On day one, we had to spend about half of it on a lawyer to protect our people, even though we were in the right. And so we're just pouring into our people, and things it was blessed. I mean, the Lord we pray all the time. He blessed it. He brought us clients. We're selling roofing. We're selling solar. I met Michael Collins just like a month into that, or 2 months into that, and he joined the team. And he's my friend that you know.
Yeah.
And it just ramped off. It has taken off, and it's been a wild adventure from there.
What year did you start Redemption Solar and Roofing?
We started January 1st, 2022.
January 1st,
We're about to finish our 4th year now, right? So
okay.
So 22, from 3 to 4 to 5. Make sure I can add right.
Yeah.
So we're finishing our 4th year, and some amazing things are coming out of this. I mean, we're probably running around $15 million in business, which is, for a company of what we do, that puts us pretty high in a level. In fact, from what I understand from the suppliers, if you take the commercial guys, because commercial roofing, they're at a much higher level. But from the residential side, we very well could be the largest, or one of the largest installers here in Louisville, which is amazing in just such a short time span.
Well, you said, again, it's obvious in your explanation of your business. I mean, faith-based.
Yes, sir.
Lots of prayer, lots of thought went into, just the formation and the foundation of the business. You've obviously put Christ at the center.
Amen.
Of your business, which is amazing. And it's just really cool to see that God is blessing that obedience, right? And backing up, I mean, I love that you got your start in roofing elsewhere, but as soon as the leadership, as you said, went off the rails, right? I mean, at some point, especially if you're in sales and you're out and you're selling a product, but the back end delivery on the install and the service and everything else is not there to match it. I mean, ultimately, that's your reputation.
Right.
That's your name on the line. And so as someone that's served in, several different sales roles over the years, if you're lacking conviction in the product that you're selling, you're not going to be very successful. Right.
That's correct.
So, back up a little bit. Tell me about your wife. Tell me about your family.
So you got to meet Jen. You got to meet my wife the other day. She came in here.
Okay.
And I mean this. She thinks it's funny every time I say it, but she's really kind of the brains of the outfit, right?
Yeah.
I say it this way. She is constantly thinking, and she's tossing out ideas to me. She comes up with the ideas, and I put legs on them. That's really all that happens. I'm like, I'll listen to stuff, and she wants me to. The word she's always looking for is, I say, that's interesting. That's interesting. She said, but when I say, that idea has merit, she's like, yes, it's going to happen. I'm like,
yeah,
it just has merit, but it does. We usually, if the idea has merit, we'll push it forward. We'll make it happen. And most of the time, it sticks. And it's big things. It's little things. one of the earliest steps we took, even back when I was working for the other company, is we were trying to recruit guys, right? It was me trying to recruit guys. I was get them from everywhere. I started
Recruit guys in sales or recruit guys for install, like just
mostly in sales, right?
Okay.
So for our company, and this is a great principle to remember, right? So everybody, first of all, is in sales.
yeah.
Everybody is, period. I don't care. I don't care if you work in the back office of a pharmacy or something like that somewhere. Nobody ever sees you. You're in sales. Maybe you're selling yourself to your wife. Maybe you're selling yourself to your boss. You're in sales in one form or another. Now, what you sell and to whom you sell, well, maybe you're not doing it professionally, but everybody's in sales.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things that we reflect in our company. Is I remember this in the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps always has the motto that every Marine's a rifleman, right? So it doesn't matter what you do, right? If you're they used to take with the Marine Corps, I used to think it was interesting, like the guys who become lawyers in the Marine Corps, they have to go through infantry training first, 6 months of it, to learn how to do that, and then they can go be a lawyer so that they remember who it is they're supporting, what they do. But in our company, everybody sells, which is kind of neat because they have the ability to make extra money. Like, okay, your job pays this much. Well, if you want to make a little bit more, in the evenings, go out and sell. And some of our production teams right now, they're out there selling. They're crushing it. I mean, one of our best salesmen is going to be my roofing production sales manager for the year. I'm like, you're like number 6 on the. I mean, and that's for a sizable team. We have probably 15 guys selling. My number 6 guy is my roofing production manager because he's out there really going after it. Now, he's pulling 70, 80-hour weeks over the summer, but he also told his wife, I'm going to do this, and he's making a lot of money because we pay them very handsomely. But we're a sales organization first, and we were trying to recruit guys into sales, and that's where the focus was. But we're trying to get them from everywhere, right? And I didn't know. And she turned to me one day. She goes, why don't you go down to the seminary and recruit? I'm like, well, why? She goes, well, because think about it. What the things that you're looking for first, I really didn't care about the resume. Didn't matter at all. I'm looking for the heart, right? I can train, any one of us could train anybody to do anything, right? You give them enough time, train them to do anything, right? What you can't change is you can't change the heart. You can't change, do they have the work ethic? Do they have the integrity? Do they have the character? Do they care? Those things you can't change, right? The Lord changes that, and it's all in the person. So I trained a whole lot of folks. Most of them didn't stick because the work's hard. Sales is scary. It is. It's scary, and it's not for everybody. But if you're going to do it, you kind of got to be, all right. I'm prepared to take rejection, and I got to have the perseverance to persevere through the hard and make it. But we went to the seminary, we started recruiting there, and we were able to recruit greatly. But that idea came out of her brain. And it ended up being the best move I made.
How many employees do you have now that are from the seminary?
I was at the seminary just yesterday. They had a recruiting fair. And somebody asked me that question. I think we have currently 7 guys on our team are currently at the seminary. So they work part-time at the seminary, and they sell for us. And they do great, mind you. They're wonderful, the salt of the earth. And then I think I have 3 others that either graduated the seminary, and I got a couple guys that, because what we do is we actually create young entrepreneurs. We tell them this, that as we train and educate them, they may not stay with us. I get that, because if the Lord calls them on to go to, I had one of my friends go down to Tennessee, another one's gone into ministry. Like, if he calls you into that, go, right? But the skill sets that you learn, you take with you. One of them started his own business. The other one, he's in the ministry, but he does some entrepreneurial work on the side, and then he also occasionally he'll sell a roof or a solar system through us. It's kind of neat. Yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of them, and I'd say probably about 1/3 of our total people have come through there.
And that was your wife's idea.
That was my wife's idea. Absolutely, yeah. Like most of them, right?
Give me another one. What's another idea she's had? That is there another one? Is there another idea that she's had over the years that you're like? Yeah, and you implemented that? Or?
She's got all kinds of them. Some of them are like her tax strategies. Like, for the longest time, I didn't want to use some of the tax strategies because I just didn't feel good about it. Like, well, this is, I just want to pay my share. She said, well, look, they write the rule book. Just follow the rule book. Do it this way. It'll be better. And she's right. So we do the tax strategies different. We we actually branched out. We had a friend of ours who, in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, who, and this story is almost, it's almost bizarre to hear, but let me tell you the story. He worked for a transformer company. It started out with him and two guys in their garage. He was the sales guy. They were the guys that were making the stuff. And he developed the sales process, recruited a sales team, was selling. He got them to the point where they were selling about $1 million of transformers a day, right? The company got huge. And he's just a good man. And he signed up to be a salary guy. And they're paying him I think they were paying him a little less than $100,000 a year to do this. They never bonused him out. They never offered him commissions. And then the leadership changed out a little bit and they fired him. They're like, well, we don't need you anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, he made you billionaires. The least you could have done is let him ride out his career at whatever salary he wanted.
Yeah.
But my wife said, they just fired Brandy. Said, and I was like, oh, that's awful. She goes, no, that's the best thing ever. Call him right now. Tell him you want to start a Greenville branch. Like a branch in Greenville, South Carolina? He goes, yeah. This is Brandy. I mean, he's going to succeed in everything he touches. And, I listened to her and yeah, the idea has merit. She goes, yes, it's going to happen.
Yes, the idea has merit. I like
so
that.
I called Brandy, and I'm glad I did as fast as I did because, as soon as that word got out that they released Brandy, they're he had 4 or 5 job offers the next day.
Yeah.
But we were first in the door. And I was like, I want to offer you a different model, right? The different model, which I offered all of my guys, which is I want to turn you into an entrepreneur. You should never have been salary in the first place. You want to work commissions. The way you work, you will make far more if you just bet on yourself rather than have me, that's the thing about a salary guy. And nothing wrong with being salary. Nothing wrong with working hourly. But what you're asking to is you're going to some other employer saying, will you take the risk on me and pay me? And that's fine. I'm absolutely happy to do so. But if I'm taking the risk, I'm also taking the lion's share and then some to go with it. But for my sales guys, they come in, I don't want anything. I just want the opportunity to sell. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to bet on me. If I don't sell anything, I don't make anything. But if I do, as a sales guy, I want the lion's share. I want the first cut. Absolutely. And those are the guys. I mean, and he's that guy. And so anyhow, yeah, we opened a branch in South Carolina. Now we're in Greenville, South Carolina. We might be moving into some other cities, and we train guys in I talk to my guys all the time is, look, if you want to go up, right, there's no ceiling here. There's no ceiling because we want you to be prepared to go build your own branch under our name. Let's go to the next step. And when you build that mindset into guys, it's phenomenal to see what they can do. I've got one guy on my team stepped away he was heavy into residential, and he's just sitting there looking at the commercial side, which we hadn't dipped into. It's a whole new pool. It's a whole new pond. I mean, you're stepping out of, you're in a lake, you're going into the ocean, right? Yeah. It's like, I want to go hunt ocean fish. Oh, okay. I don't know a lot about that. I mean, I'll support you going there, but if you want to do it, it's like, as long as you got, as long as I get, I can earn the percentage of it, let me go there. And he took all the risk. He's going. He's making the lion's share of the cut. He's already successful at it, and we're going commercial now, which is in a whole new market. But it's the mindset, the beauty of it. Their Christ-centered mindset that takes them there. That they're fearless. They just step into the next realm, and when you breed that culture into your workplace, it goes with them constantly.
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, you're empowering your team.
Yes, sir.
To make decisions. You're rewarding them when they're productive and successful, and they're contributing to the overall revenue for the business. It's a beautiful team model, and in my opinion, the way every business should be structured. I love revenue share structured models where everyone has skin in the game and they want to contribute to the whole and to the overall success of the project or the particular opportunity. So I love that. I think it's obviously it's a great model. It's working well for you. And again, I love that your wife is the idea gal, right?
She's amazing.
She's coming up with all that. I'm kind of like your wife. I'm always dreaming up new opportunities, new businesses, and which is why I have 6. And I'm trying to figure out, right now, the biggest challenge for me personally And I've had some exciting news this week. I've got one of my businesses, Tradeline Services. I've been in that business since 2016. It started out as a little side hustle. Our best year ever, we did a little over 400,000 in sales. So it's a little, but again, it was this total side hustle. But it's a phenomenal business, and the value proposition is incredible. And I'm the problem. Like, I'm the bottleneck. I'm the owner of the company, and I've got too many other things going on, and I'm standing in the way of that company from growing. So I actually, it's funny. I approached my largest customer earlier this week, and I said, "Hey, you want to buy Tradeline Services from me?" And he said, "How much?"
Oh, nice.
He said, "How much?" I said, $1 million. He goes, "I don't have $1 million." He said, "But I want to partner with you." And he said, "Let me run it. Let me run it. Let me grow it. Let me scale it. And we'll be on this journey together."
Hey, give him an earnout.
Yeah. So again, just this week, literally 2 days ago, I just appointed a new CEO, which I'm super excited about, of Tradeline Services, which has been kind of my baby, my company. But again, I've been neglecting it a little bit and haven't been spending the time and the effort and the energy that it needs to really thrive and to really grow. And again, this guy, like I said, he's my largest customer. He does more business with me than anyone else. And he comes from the credit repair space, which is an aligned industry with what we do at Tradeline Services. And, first day on the job, he goes, "Hey, I've got this software vendor that I use to help me with my credit repair business. They work with, thousands of credit repair companies all across the country." And he said, "I'm going to reach out to my contact there and see if I can get a list of all these companies and introduce our service as a complimentary service to what they're doing in credit repair." And so, first day on the job, he's already thinking big picture. How do we scale quickly?
Right.
And he's the right person for the job. And I'm actually going through a book right now. I don't know if you've ever read it or not, but it's a great book. It's Who, Not How. It's for the entrepreneur like yourself and like me. You're thinking about, like, not how I'm going to do something, but who am I going to find to do it?
Amen. That's right. That's correct.
Who am I going to find that is better suited for this job? I know what my gifts are and what my talents are, and I need to stay in my lane.
That's right.
And I need to find the other who's
to do that.
That are going to help get us where we want to go. And there's a ton of fun in that, and that, because I'm a galvanizer, man. I love to rally the troops and to get everyone excited about an opportunity or a business or, whatever it might be. And so, that's really a strength of mine. And this is allowing me to do that. But I've run a lot of my businesses on my own for several years. And it's just been recently where I've come to the realization that, like, Jason, get out of the freaking way, man. You've got a great business. You've got a great value proposition. Stop trying to do all this stuff on your own. There's only so many hours in the day.
That's right.
And there's so many more capable people that can help you scale this thing. So that's really been a big shift for me just recently in business. It's the who's that I need to find, not the how I'm going to do everything.
That's a good point.
So you guys opened up when did you open up? You said your
22.
22. Well, you opened, but then when was the South Carolina location?
We opened that last year.
Last year.
And it's he's got like 6 guys down there and they're crushing it. Just that fast.
Wow.
It took him, to be fair, and he took his time. He came up here, he trained. He probably spent 3 months up here. He spent another 6 months down there kind of training, adapting. And he's brought his 2 of his older boys are on his team, and he's got a couple other guys on the team, and they're on a good, steady growth curve, and it's getting fun. And he's, like the other day, he brought home a check the other day, which was represented a few jobs, It was like a $30,000 check, handed it to his wife. He goes, and her eyes popped out of her. So I got $30,000. That's just from a few of my jobs. And she's like, you've never made this kind of money before.
Right.
Yeah, because now you're an entrepreneur. It's different.
Yes.
You're working on yourself. Whether you work for under our title or not, you bet on yourself.
Right.
And now you're in the game. And what's interesting is you mentioned that there's everything you're doing is that entrepreneurial mindset, right? Once what's neat is once that switch flips, you can't unswitch it, right?
Right.
It's kind of neat. Well, first of all, one thing I was reading, I was listening to a podcast the other day. This was great. Is that, entrepreneurial businesses are, of course, they're capitalism, which is the way that, God intended the earth to work. Is that if I'm creating a business, I don't get anything in exchange until I satisfy somebody else's need, right?
Yeah.
So if I create a roofing company, I can't make penny one until I go out and find somebody who needs a roof. And when I satisfy their need and help them and serve them, then I get served. Then I get, I get profit in exchange.
Yeah.
And it's neat because it comes out of thin air. There it is. You create profit by just adding service, adding value. And then when it comes to the entrepreneurial side, we have like 5 businesses. But my wife, when I'm talking to her, you mentioned you have 6, we got 5, right? She's like, well, we should get into rentals. And so she's into rentals. We got a rental company. Then she's got a different rental company with her parents. Every time she hears something, she's like, this is going to change in her life. We should create a company to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness. And I have a Christian cadet training program that I run as a nonprofit. Should make that into a company. Yeah, because for tax strategies, it makes sense. And then we have, one of our sons have Down syndrome. We adopted him and needs a group home. There are no group homes available. She says, well, why don't you just make one and make it a business? And so, they're all great ideas. At some point, I finally told her, I said, these are all great ideas.
Yes.
We can't make any more businesses.
Yeah.
We're going nuts. And we're doing exactly what you're saying, which is there are guys out there like us that build businesses because that's what we do. And then the next step is find the people to turn it over to because they're not necessarily, they're not gifted in building the businesses, but they're gifted in taking them over, running them, and maybe even taking them to the next level.
Yes.
And so finding that, and when to make that gear shift is tricky.
Yeah.
Right. I know for me, I do it by the pile on my desk, right? When my pile on my desk gets, too high, I'm like, clearly I'm getting bogged down in the minutia and I'm not up here building. It's time to hire somebody to take this stuff off.
Right.
And it does. I bring on a new person. I pass all this off, and then I get a new pile that grows, and then another person. And we're about to hire. We hired him. We brought him on fractionally, but we're going to bring him on full time here, and he's going to move up from Texas, operations officer. Okay. Which is, I knew this was coming. Which is, I need somebody now who has enough talent that he can think out of the box, right, and do all those things. But he, I'll go up to the next level, and I'll be able to build laterally. He'll be able to deal internally, but knowing when to make those gear shifts, that's key for an entrepreneur. It really is.
Well, in your business, right? You guys. It sounds like you've got an incredible sales team that does really well, and they're out and they're meeting with prospects and they're closing deals and they're bringing back checks and but at the end of the day, you still got to execute and you've still got to have a quality install on the
That's right.
the roof or the solar, and that can sometimes, be tricky, right? How many crews do you have? If you found it, because that's the thing. It's like from a scale standpoint, because you have, it's a pretty, putting on a roof is a hard job.
It is.
It's an extremely hard job, and especially. When you're out there and you're closing roofs left and right and you're starting in a new state. You gotta have good crews because at the end of the day, if you're out there selling roofs and the quality of the work, in the end isn't what it needs to be, you're not going to get any referrals, yep. and you're gonna eventually develop a reputation of not being solid. Now, obviously you guys have good crews, but how do you find your crews? How do you find the guys that are getting on the roofs and
Great point. Great question. I remember a principle from a long way back. I don't even remember who said it. The first guy you hire is the guy who is good at the things that you're not good at. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I'm a sales guy. I'm a leader guy. I needed somebody who could get inside and handle production and find crews and make the magic happen. Here's the beautiful irony of Thomas is my production manager, and he's amazing. Dear brother in the Lord, but he's phenomenal at what he does. He was at the other company with me. They fired him because he didn't have the right personality profile. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, he'll never be a production manager. Like, okay, fine. You mind if I have him? Like, we don't care. Actually, they fired him. They're so upset with him when they fired him because they're like, well, we're not going to keep you around. You can't go up. Because, well, then do you mind if I go work for Mike? They're like, well, no. Well, you can't go work for Mike, but you can work for anybody else. I'm like, okay. So they actually literally kicked him out in the snow. It was the middle of January. They kicked him out in the snow. We went and got him, put him to work, and said, Thomas, just make the roofing thing production happen. I'm going to go sell. I want you to go find it. He said, no problem. He knows where to go hunt to find crews. He knew what he was looking for, right? I already knew what kind of quality, and I told him up front, I said, listen, here's what I want, right? I want to pay more than everybody else pays. I want the best crews, and I want the best supervisors on the best crews, and I want the best people in position, and I'm willing to take a much smaller profit margin to get the right quality on the back end.
Yeah.
Because that's everything. Because once you have the right quality, once you have all of those pieces in place, it does a number of things for you. First of all, you're not going to get called back with problems, right? Now you put on enough roofs, there's little problems here and there, but I'm not going to have major challenges.
Right.
Number one. Number two, I'm going to gain a reputation of having quality, and that's going to beget its own sales, right? And then number three, it's kind of fire and forget. Once you have the right people in the right place that understand what they're doing, you can step away and let them run. You just take the leash off and let them go. Yeah. Something that I learned in the Marine Corps many, many years ago. I used to teach, part of my job, one of my favorite jobs was I would teach captains how to be company commander. So I was a major at the time, and I'd be teaching them how to lead and how to lead their people. And I had one principle that I always gave them, which is, I want initiative. In the absence of orders, I want you to do something. The only really punishable sin was if you did nothing, right? If you did nothing. And I remember I'd put them in scenarios specifically where I didn't give them enough information, and the radio, my end of the radio, I'm listening to them. I wouldn't answer, and I just wanted to see what they do. And I had one captain one time who, unfortunately, he sat there, he did nothing in this simulation. He got crushed, and I just destroyed him. And I told my guys, I said, the only time I will get really angry is do nothing, right? He could have gone left, he could have gone right, he could have backed up, he could have defended. Take your pick, just do something. And so I tell my people, hey, take some risks, make some mistakes. Yeah, but those can be costly. Sure, they can. Don't make super costly mistakes, right? Yeah. We're going to make mistakes. Some of my sales guys sell something. You sold what? We don't do windows. Yeah, but he needed a window. Okay, well, we're going to get him a window. We're going to get the best window installer, right? And I'll figure, now we're installing a window. And that happens. That's fine. I said, but they're making mistakes in action. Yeah. If they're making mistakes in inaction, then we got to let them go. Like, listen, if you're not going to work, right, you eat up the time of my leadership. But you asked about how do we find these guys? Really, I just find the guys who know how to find the guys. Right? Yeah. And as long as you know what it is you don't know, and I'm going to hire the best guy that does that better than me, and just release him.
It's your who,
and off he goes.
That's your who. You found your who on that.
That's right.
Is there? Speaking of mistakes, like unfortunately, we've all made a lot of mistakes over the years. Is there a particular mistake that you've made that has really been that just stands out, that has helped you just get better and learn and grow from? Is there a particular mistake that stands out on that?
Well, so many. Where do I start? Actually, so you can either learn from your mistakes or you can learn from others' mistakes.
Yeah.
So
it's much more fun learning from others' mistakes.
So when I was with the previous company, I was growing stuff. I grew 2 branches for them. I grew a region. We ended up opening some other branches for them, and they decided they didn't need me anymore. Like, you have the wrong personality profile too. You can't lead. Like, oh, really? Wow, that's fascinating. But I watched them make some mistakes. The biggest mistake and this was the first thing we implemented, is forgetting what it is we do, forgetting what the core of the business is. Every week, every Monday morning, we have a Monday morning meeting.
Okay.
So now with the sales force, they're all to the the four winds are going in different directions. Our production teams are taking off. There's one time for 1 hour from 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning. The whole team either gets together. If they can't make it, they're calling in on a conference line.
Yeah.
We start with two things. We start with prayer, and then we read our mission statement every week. Same mission statement over and over again.
Yeah.
Redemption Solar Roofing honors Christ by serving our clients, et cetera, right? We read it to remind us that's what we're doing every day.
Tell me your mission statement slower and do
Right.
you
So
have it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I got most of it. Let's see. Redemption Solar and Roofing honors Christ by serving our clients with the highest quality products and services in roofing and solar in our market.
Okay.
Right, and that's it. And actually, what's interesting is our mission statement is to serve. Our vision statement is to serve our clients. Our vision statement, which is much longer, is in essence to serve our people and create more leaders and more entrepreneurs. Everything is about service.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, when your mind accepts that, when you realize, look, I mean, what's life? 70, 80 years and you're dead.
Short.
Right? And
Very
you're
short.
standing
Yeah.
for the Lord. The only things that last for eternity, the only thing that you will do that will last eternity is something you do for somebody else.
Right.
It's the only thing that matters, right? And once you realize that, all of this is passing, how can I serve? It is so fun. I mean, when you're knocking a door and you're waiting for somebody to answer the door and you get a little bit giddy, you're like, I'm about to meet a new person.
Yeah.
No idea who this person is.
You're a special breed, by the way.
That's right. A lot of people don't like to do that, right? I get it. And we're looking, by the way, actually in our industry, I'll come back to that, but we're considered dinosaurs in our industry because of the way we serve, the way we do roofing and the way we do sales. But it's exciting when you open the door, you're like, I'm about to fill a need they don't even know they have. How exciting is it? I mean, I don't know if they have damage on the roof. I could tell from the ground, they probably do. It's an old roof, right? And I climb the roof. Maybe they have damage, maybe they don't. I just help them out and walk them through the insurance process. I help them satisfy a need. And on the solar side, right, when I'm talking to people, I love to ask the question, hey, why'd you choose LG&E in the first place? What do you mean choose? I didn't have a choice. What you do, right? You can be power independent. It's the excitement when the light switch comes on that I can help you. I can bring something to you didn't have. And I can bring absolute value. And that's pretty exciting to see that. And then I was about to go with something else I started to mention. It's coming back to door knocking, serving the sales. What was the other thing I was coming back to? Oh man, I had it on the tip of my tongue. Give me 2 seconds, it'll click. It's gone. It'll come back.
That's all right.
It'll come
That's
back.
all right.
But there's the excitement. Oh yes, we're dinosaurs. That was the best, right? I've been told our company's made of dinosaurs. Like, excellent. Bring me your broken. Bring me all the misfits. Bring them to me. Most of the people that get into roofing and do it at a good level, they spend their money on marketing, right? They advertise. They'll put billboards up. You see them all over the place. You want a roof? Call this guy. You want solar? Call this guy. Whatever. Well, that only satisfies about a third of the clientele. Because those clientele have to know that I've got a roofing problem, and then what's that number? And I'll call somebody. What happens when they don't know they have the need, right? The only way they're ever going to figure that out is if somebody presents it to them. And I can walk up to the door, knock the door, and say, hey, have you had your roof inspected? Well, I haven't. Well, it's a free service. Takes me 15 minutes. From what I can see from the ground, you might have some damage up there. You might not. They'll let us climb, and a lot of times there's damage up there. Well, they would have never called anybody until until they already have water coming out of there. Then the damage is worse. So we're out there serving, but those guys, most people don't want to knock doors. They don't. They'll avoid that. They'll absolutely avoid it, which I don't understand, because there's so much advantage to knocking a door. It's scary. I admit. It truly is. Once you get past the scary part of it, we always say the hardest door to open is your own car door, right?
Yeah.
And go knock doors. Think about all the advantages you have. I've already picked the client. I've looked at his roof. I know his roof, high probability has damage based on the age of the roof. It's in a nice neighborhood. I know he takes care of his house. I know he actually cares for it. If I show him that there's damage, he's not going to ignore it. He's going to do something about it. If he's in this neighborhood, right, he's probably a good, hardworking American guy that could use some help. all the advantages are with me.
Yeah.
I've already picked my client. Now all I just got to do is get him to
Well, I
pick
mean,
me.
your mindset is such that, I mean, you mentioned early on in that explanation that, when you're knocking on a door, you're getting like excited because you're getting ready to meet someone new.
That's
and
right.
you never know what's going to, what's going to be on the other side of the door. It's funny that you say that because my first interaction with your company, Redemption Solar and Roofing, was a couple years ago, and didn't know. I mean, I knew Michael Collins.
Yeah.
Didn't know Michael Collins was working with you at the time, but Michael knocked on my front door, and he, and I wasn't home at the time, but my 9-year-old son knocks, answers the door, and is in full on conversation and
Awesome.
negotiating with Michael. And it's funny, you'll have to ask Michael more. Michael more about that story because I get a phone call and I don't know how Michael tied it together, if he knew it was my house or not, but either way, he ended up, getting on my roof and seeing if we,
Praise the Lord.
we
That's
had
awesome.
any storm damage or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, Michael met his match with my
With your
9-year-old son.
That's fantastic.
He's more of a negotiator than I am. I would have been like, yeah, man, go on up, check it out, and my 9-year-old son's going, well, how much is it? How much is it, Michael? Tell me how much it is.
So
And,
I would have been inclined to recruit him. Hey,
yeah.
can I have you on my team?
You want to talk about, I mean, speaking of young entrepreneurs, my son literally, we've got one of those, he's got, an electric scooter, and he gets on his scooter and he drives around our neighborhood and he looks for people's lawns that are not mowed. And he goes up, knocks on their door, and asks the homeowner if he can mow their lawn.
Amen.
And he says, I'll mow your lawn. Your first cut's free.
Perfect.
Yeah. And, I mean, like I said, the bulk, like,
But look what's in there. Look at everything that's in there, right? First of all, he's understanding that there's nothing that stops him from essentially building a business, anything he wants. Right. If you can dream it, go sell it and do it. And if he's fearless enough to go up and knock this guy's door and say, can I mow your lawn?
Yeah.
Well, nothing can stop him. And you're building that mind. Our son, it's actually funny because for a lot of years, we used to do allowance, right?
Yeah.
Jen says, we got to get rid of this term. He says, we do commissions.
Yeah.
We'll pay you commissions.
I love that.
But she's right. It's a mindset thing, right? Which is, I'm not working X dollars to make this. Like when you do that job, you get paid this much money for that job.
Yeah.
Right. And now, I mean, he did all kinds of, our son, same thing. He did all kinds of crazy things. He put a snow cone stand out in front of the house. He's selling snow cones to cars driving by. They'll stop and buy a snow cone, lemonade, on just like a random day, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's not waiting for a Saturday. He's doing it on a Wednesday afternoon. There he is sitting out there in his little whatever. Or he said, if I go knock doors and door hangers, will you pay me? I said, absolutely. And so I negotiated an hourly rate with him. It was something fairly low. I said, I'll do better than that. And he went out and he'll knock doors. He'll wear the logo. And it's not about, he did actually drum up some business, which was fun. But really what it was is that encouraging that mindset. If your son's 9 and he's already
he's 11 now.
He's 11 now.
He started his first business when he was 9, and he, as a 9-year-old, he kind of fell out of love with that business. And actually, what's funny, that was a lawn care business at 9 years old. He started a lawn care business, and he picked up 4 lawns, and he was mowing 4 lawns. But then he was playing travel baseball and doing other stuff, and it was summer, and he had friends in the pool and everything else. And it got to a point where I had to explain to him, buddy, the grass continues to grow. Like you can't take a week off. Like if you're committed. If you're committed, you got to be all in on this thing.
That's right.
And actually, I was one of his customers, and I fired him.
Uh-oh.
I fired him because, it got to a point where, he wasn't mowing my lawn. And so I fired my son. And, I just told him, I said, look, I had a perfectly good lawn guy. You asked if you could mow my lawn. I said, yes, I'll give you the business, but the quality of work wasn't there.
Right.
And, and I'm not going to fight with you every week to mow the lawn. So So anyway,
That's
I
good
fired
parenting.
him.
That's
Yeah.
great parenting.
So, but then, this past summer, he decided he wanted to start a pressure washing business.
Okay.
And he, great story. Like he actually came over here to Common Ground and printed a bunch of flyers, and he went and put flyers in paper boxes, and he ended up getting someone to call him to pressure wash his driveway. The interesting part about that is we don't own a pressure washer. So he went and borrowed my neighbor Larry's pressure washer. Okay. So he brings home the pressure washer, and the pressure washer, the handle on it, the head on it, whatever, it was leaking water, and there was no pressure. It would not. So as resourceful as he was, he got on that scooter. He drove around there. He found someone else who had a pressure washer sitting outside their house. He went up to their front door, rang the doorbell, and they weren't even home. They got on their Ring doorbell, and he asked them if he could borrow their power washer, and they said, sure, go ahead. And so he ended up finding another pressure washer, and he brought it home, and we couldn't get it started. So now I have one pressure washer that has a broken head and another one that won't start. So we actually were just able to take the handle off of one, put it on the other, and he went and pressure washed this driveway. And the neighbors were, the people that hired him, I think he said he charged like $50 or something to pressure wash the driveway. They ended up giving him $100. He was over there for hours working on it. And so that was a good teachable moment as well, because I had to explain to him the value of his time, and I went back, and I also had to explain to him the value of repeat business and repeat customers.
That's right.
And I said, okay, bud, let's think about this a second. So you've got one customer in the pressure washing business, and they paid you $100, which is great, but you were over there for probably 4 hours, and they're not going to call you back next week to pressure wash their driveway again. They might call you next year,
right?
But that's one customer. It took you 4 hours. You made $100, and you split it with your buddy that helped you. Think about this from a time perspective. I mean, you mow a lawn, you get $40, and it takes you an hour. Now you're
right.
You mow 4 lawns,
right.
You're at $160 instead of the $100 that you got paid that you split, and you only got 50. But I tried to, I had to explain to him the value of, repeat business and reoccurring revenue, and how, how I felt like I appreciate the hustle and wanting to do something different with the pressure washing business. I said, but the lawn care business is a better business.
That's right.
I said, because you got repeat customers, your hourly rate's higher, and it's just reoccurring revenue every week. And you only have to find maybe 5 to 10 customers to have a really good business as an 11-year-old. You only have to find 5 or 10 customers, versus if you're in the pressure washing business, you got to find 5 or 10 customers a week.
Right. Yeah,
and you got to get new customers every week.
Think about all the lessons he's learning in there. This is phenomenal. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, and we try to raise entrepreneurs as well, and a bunch of them are, which is really neat. We have 7 children, but they fail early, right? Fail fast, fail often, right? Yeah. You've heard that phrase. But do it when you're a kid. I mean, make those mistakes, right? Get fired as the lawn care guy when you're 9 or whatever. Undercharge as the pressure washer guy when you're 11. And then you begin to, all of these lessons are now, okay, those are lessons I could have learned more expensive later. I'm learning them right now because my father's taking the time to sit down and explain and I see the little light switch comes on. Jensen, my son, does the same thing. Actually, all of our older kids, they're all starting little side businesses. My oldest son, he's a solar production manager. Again, that's the entrepreneurial mindset. He's a Marine, got out. He spent 5 years Marine Corps, got out as a sergeant, became my solar production manager. He and his wife were on a trip the other day. Like, how do we monetize this? How do we get paid to go on trips? How do we do this? And he comes up with a strategy, and he comes back and goes, what if we created a review service where when we go on a trip, we do a post a review about it. We put it on online somewhere, it's kind of like TripAdvisor in mini, and then expense out the expenses for this. And then, then we get other people in the family who are going on trips anyway to share their pictures and their videos and a little story about it. And then we pay them for that. But I think it'll work, by the way. I think it's a great thing. But the mindset is there. Every time they hear something, oh, what if I make a business to do that? Or they see the need. What if I make a business to do that? When you build that into them at a young age, I mean, there's nothing they can't do. It's just, then they're going to pick and choose through it. Do I do pressure washing? Do I do lawn care? Okay, I see the pluses and minuses. Or what the next thing he picks, he's already saying to himself, okay, how long is it going to take me to do X? What do I need to charge to get the result out?
Yeah,
what a great idea.
If we have a conversation with him about how much commission he can earn on selling a roof, he might get in the roofing business for too long. So
you may. Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that.
But
I guess the only thing I hadn't talked about much was the solar side, which is interesting.
So started in 22. When did you add solar? Or was solar always part of the offering?
Always up front. And in fact, the name is solar and roofing.
Okay, so solar was the first offering.
That's right. We actually, when we started the company, we first of all, we wanted to differentiate. What's kind of neat about it is there's probably one other out there, but I don't know. I don't know any other solar and roofing companies.
Okay.
They go hand in hand, which makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're putting the solar panels on the roof.
That's right.
So.
But to really do it right, and this kind of sets us apart, right? There's solar companies out there that will install your solar. There's roofing companies out there that will install your roofing. But if you're going to have solar, if you're going to put solar on a roof, you really want a company that also knows how to roof. Because when I'm starting punching holes in your roof, right? And I get this all the time. Somebody will call out and say, hey, my roof is leaking. I had a roofing company put this on, a solar company, and they're both pointing the finger at each other. Whose leak is it? And I've got to get up there and adjudicate where's it coming from, right? And they've got a third party in, and I can do that. But really what you want is you want the solar company who can also roof so that if there is a problem, they'll buy it, right? So when we go to put it on, the first thing is if it leaks on our side of the roof, it's our problem because it doesn't matter if it's a roof or not. We have to expect the roof and off we go. But that's part of it. But we actually expected early on there was beginning to be a shift to solar. There was a lot of interest in it, a lot of with the tax credit, and we started selling a good amount of solar in 2022, and we got through the end of 2022, and 2023 hit, and a storm came, and Michael Collins was one of our solar salesmen, and he was focused on solar, and he's watching. All of a sudden, the roofing guys are all excited because storm makes it easy, right? Everybody knows they have damage. Everybody knows they need it does make things easy. He's like, "Can I go sell roofing?" I was like, "Well, sure." I mean, right? You follow your market. When your market shifts, you go with it. And so all of a sudden, instead of solar being half of our business, solar became like a fifth of our business. Most of our guys were focused on roofing. And then once they realized, well, in a lot of ways, this is easier because when you have when you have a roofing conversation, it's really simple. Nobody wants a roof. Everybody needs a roof, right? Yeah. So if you have problems, you got to do something about it. That's an easy sale. Solar's a different animal. First of all, you don't have to have solar. You can buy your power from LG&E or from Duke Energy or whoever. So the first question is, do you want to be power independent, right? And that's really what we sell. A lot of our competitors sell cost savings. There is definite cost savings, right? So if you sign up for solar, it's not today. Yeah. Your cost savings is 5 years out, or if it's batteries, you're 10 years out, right? Whatever, that's your cost savings. And then you got solar for probably the next 40 years of the life of your system. But identifying that need and bringing it to the surface is a lot harder because now, I'm just fine. I have to pay my electric bill every month. Oh, okay. Well, you know how much you're going to pay over the next 25 years? I don't know. I pay my $200 a month. Well, with inflation, you know what that's going to be in 25 years? I don't know. I happen to know it's $180,000. What? Yeah. Add 7% inflation, compound that over 25 years, and it's 7%, well, it's 4%. Really? What economy do you live in where we have 4% inflation? We haven't had that since, I can't even remember when I was a kid. And all of a sudden, now we build the need, but it takes more work. Yeah. And so the nice thing is we were able to shift our market to satisfy the need of where we're going. I really am a strong believer in solar for a number of reasons. But my primary purpose is it makes guys power independent, right?
Yeah.
Look what happened after, COVID was an eye opener for a lot of folks. What happened after COVID? How dependent are you on the grocery store? How dependent are you on gas pump? I mean, if somebody else on electricity, if somebody else isn't providing that for you, you're in trouble. I mean, what can you do? Your cell phone. How dependent are you on your cell phone? What's my alternate communication plan? I don't have one. Exactly, right? So all of these things. Energy is a great one. So guys are going out buying homes, buying little tiny, taking their 2 acres and they're putting in a little garden and some chickens, so that if you end up with empty shelves at the grocery store again, like we had it during COVID, I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you remember it, right? Well, at least I got a few eggs and I've got some garden vegetables. I can get some of it through my own, and of course there's better stuff. Same things with energy, right? So I like to sell that, but we do both in the market. And what I try to do is I try to equip my guys that, look, you can switch hit, particularly when they're knocking doors, right? When you go into a neighborhood knocking doors, you're looking, oh, old roof. I need to talk to this guy about his roof. Well, that's a brand new roof. Great. I don't have to skip it anymore. I just knocked the door and said, you have a great roof for solar. You got a lot of sun right here. And they can hit and they can have multiple conversations as the market moves around. They can make it happen. But ultimately, I'm encouraged by solar because I think we need it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, I always like to pull back from the strategic level, right? Coal, oil, nuclear power, okay, they're in limited quantities. They absolutely are, right? And so you look like some of the Western states, they have brownouts. They have rolling brownouts because the power companies have to shut off certain zip codes for a period of time because there's just not enough power. Well, we have all this unused real estate sitting here above our head. Why not put panels on it, solve some of their problem, take the pressure off the power companies so they can focus on the commercial sector where they need to? We need it. What's frustrating to me is the tax credit ends at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. We didn't need the tax credit anyway. I get it, but I get the government incentivizes things they need. What frustrates me about it is the guys who are shutting down the tax credit are the guys who are selling you power. They don't want the tax credit because they want to sell you their power. Not only can they sell it at whatever price they want. Did you ever read your electric your contract with the power company? Nobody does, right? Whatever price they want, they got a monopoly, but they also control you, right? What happens if we don't want you to have power? You're without power. These new digital meters, they can shut you off remotely. That's a lot of power. Yeah. Well, of course, if you're off grid, you're like, go ahead, shut me off. I got my own power, right? Some of that's important. So that's why I'm really a strong believer in it. So anyway, I don't know how we got on the solar track. I guess I mentioned that I wanted to just at least tell you why we do it.
Yeah. No, well, it's interesting because I didn't realize. Well, obviously solar is listed first in the in the company name, but I didn't realize that solar came before roofing. So that's interesting. Yeah, and I had a conversation. Speaking of solar, there's I guess the tax credit for that particular tax credit's going away, but there's some other in this big beautiful bill. I don't know if you've looked into it or not, but
a lot of words.
There's something else in that big beautiful bill of ours that there's a commercial solar credit that's available. That's kind of a tax strategy that I actually looked into recently, but I didn't fully understand it, so I didn't necessarily move forward with it. But before we wrap up, I do want to ask you one more question. So tell me, whatever the shorter version is of what's your faith story? Tell me about your how'd you come to know Christ? When were you saved? Tell me a little bit about your story. I want to hear.
Great question. You'll be underwhelmed. It's kind of boring.
Is it? Okay.
But it's also encouraging in one regard. You remember when Paul's writing to Timothy how you inherited your faith from your grandmother?
Yeah.
And you knew it from you were from an infancy. I have been a Christian for as long as I can remember.
Okay.
And that speaks to the faith of my mother. My mom poured into me. And I mean, she'd read the Bible to us. She'd take us to church. She would be praying with us all the time. We'd do devotions together. And I mean, from as young as I can remember, Jesus has been my Lord. Okay. Now, that's not to say I haven't been convicted over my sin many times. I've grown in understanding in a lot of things. The biggest one that was a change for me was I wrestled with God's sovereignty for a while. Like, hey, if you're really in charge of everything, then what am I? And God God says, yeah, I'm in charge. Sit back and relax. But you've got to release the pride. That was a battle for me for a while, realizing, okay, you truly are in charge. Yes, you're my Lord, but who's on the throne of my life? Is there some of that? So I've been through that. But honestly, for me, Christian my whole life, as long as I can remember, and that's a blessing. And my mom has never had any money. She doesn't have any money now. I have had the greatest inheritance from her I'll ever get. Right? I've inherited Jesus. I've got eternity, and that's a lot of fun. But the more exciting part is, what do you do with that faith, right?
Right.
And here's the thing to even bring it back full circle, is that anytime you're going to take a step, anytime you're going to do something big, God's going to ask you to take a step of faith first. You got to put something on the altar. You've got right, and he's gonna. He knows he knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's that scary first step of faith. I mean, for us, we had to step away from the company. We had to mortgage our home, take all our equity out, throw it on the table, and step away from, well, this is safe. Yeah. Well, when Peter got out of the boat, it wasn't safe anymore.
Right.
But imagine if he never got out of the boat. I mean, that whole relationship experience with Christ was there. And I always like to comment that there were 11 other disciples in that boat, never got out, right? So so he stepped out, but we're seeing it. We made the step of faith. The Lord honored it. He poured onto it. Every time we do that, every time we take a growth step, hey, Greenville, we're just going to take, I don't know, this is just a step of faith. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And if you do it in faith, and obviously you can't do stupid stuff, but if you're making some wise decision and you're taking that bolt, He's going to honor it.
What church do y'all call home? Where are you guys at?
We have just started going. We just moved, so we moved out to LaGrange.
Okay.
I'd spent 20 plus years at a church here. I helped one of my guys, who's one of my salesmen. He graduated seminary a couple of years ago. Asked me if I'd help him. If you start preaching, I'll come help you get it started. So I helped him for a couple of years. But we just recently moved out to LaGrange, an amazing church. Sultan Light Church, and we got to find a local church because we want to invest in the local community out there, because that's where we are, right? And we want to be able to attend things. And Jen started going, and this young man, Justin, who's the pastor, Justin Walker, got to hear him preach. This guy preaches without apology. I mean, we don't line up theologically on a few things. We line up wholly on Christ, right? There's a few little things that we're different on. But he preaches without apology. Amazing faith. He'll open up the scripture. He doesn't care. It's not about who he offends. He's not trying to offend anybody. Yeah. But he's going to call it as it is, right? And he'll call out sin in his own life, in our lives, in our country. Like one of the biggest one he harps on is education, right? We think about what we do as parents when we take our children and we turn them over to somebody else for 8 hours a day. What are they going to get? Well, maybe, is it good or bad? I mean, should we do that? Are we even asking the question, right? Like your son, the entrepreneur, is he getting that? Is he getting that? Is he getting Christ where he's going? And he'll hit on that heavy. But anyhow, we're going to Salt and Light Church. These guys, they had a small building. They got the 2 services. They took an enormous step of faith. They had a big building. Somebody had a $5 million building. Like, oh, we can never afford that. 72 acres. They walked away from it. The guy called them and said, no, you need to come get this building. I was like, oh, we can't do this. No. Well, let's make it work. And they laid out the payments. They made basically a giant balloon payment. Like, wait, I don't know how we can make these payments. They prayed about it. I said, okay, we're just going to do it. And every month it just happens. And then Justin turns around and the whole church said, well, I think we need to start a school. Right, because we want to minister. We want to reach out to minister. Everybody's complaining they can't get out and find a place to witness. Make a school, make it free for the local people. Bring them in, and in every class, math, English, science, teach them that, and give them Christ. They'll show up. And they have 80, 100 students that they're ministering to every day. Well, how are we going to pay for that? No idea. No idea. We just trust the Lord. And they've been doing it now. They've been doing it for a year. They got full-time staff, and it's happening. And, they go out, they raise the funds, but it's a step of faith. And that's the takeaway. comes all the way back to everything we do, right?
Yeah.
You want to start the business, you want to be in ministry, whatever it is. The Lord requires on the altar, you're going to put something there. It's your faith. What are you going to put up? What are you going to pony up before He wants to see you take the steps of faith first. Once you do, though, He's right behind you every single time. And every time you take that step of faith, the next one gets a little easier. So,
Yeah. I mean, God's plans are so much bigger, so much greater than our own. And, if we can get out of the way,
that's right.
and take that step of faith, like you said,
May it be to you according to your faith. Amen.
Yeah. So, well, man, it's been a blast. I've really enjoyed getting to chat with you and learn more about your family, your business, and your faith, and really appreciate you taking time to come by today and chat
Jason,
with me.
thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I hope this helps somebody out there. I mean, somebody catches a nugget or two out of that, and it just encourages them for one more step. So, thank you, brother. I appreciate you greatly.